technology is here, robots are here, AI is here, whether you like it or not. So I feel like it's probably a good idea to take advantage best you can. But I mean, of course, there's the other end of it that you have to get outside, you have to get away from technology, you have to put the phone down.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community. Today we're talking about technology, Neuralink, cell phones, kids. Oh my gosh, I have got a lot to share with you, and it's all coming up on Exploring Mind and Body. Sit back and enjoy.
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
All right, so I'm passionate about this subject on different levels. I'm going to explain that here throughout the show. But I mean, technology is a crazy thing, isn't it? Like, technology is taking over. I mean, let's be real. You can't really avoid it. Like, technology has come so far, leaps and bounds from where it used to, and there's no stopping it. I feel like technology's taken over, and it's not. I mean, there's so much to talk about here. I got to organize my thoughts. But, you know, when it comes to technology, they just released this new AI stuff. I don't even know what it is or how it works. I'm certainly not an expert in it. But I got to tell you, it's a bit scary. Like, you've seen iRobot with Will Smith? It's happening. It's happening. People don't understand what's happening behind the scenes and how AI alone will be taking over. I looked up this app, and this app, one of these apps we use, it puts captions on your videos, which is super cool. And then they have like a back-end version. I didn't even know what it is or what it does, but I could type a sentence out and it could say the benefits of activated charcoal. That's one of the products we sell. I want to share information on that. So, and I use some keywords like detoxification, digestion, etc. And it'll type out whatever you want. It'll type out a text message. It'll type out a script for a video. It'll type out an essay, a blog post. It is bonkers. And like, that is just one topic. So when we look at what's happening moving forward, is that like AI's taken over. Like, people aren't going to be writing in the future. That's going to be a robot. That's going to be artificial intelligence. They have, I keep getting ads from some type of AI that will do some type of sales call. I don't know exactly, but it's so new. I don't think we realize how deep this is going to get. Like, people that are doing copywriting, they're going to be out of a job. People that do sales calls may be out of a job. Or if you're operating, a lot of times you're working on chat, which is probably a good thing because customer service is so weak in so many different areas or so many different industries that we could use something like AI. But the thing is that you're not going to know if it's a human or a bot, or because it's so well done, it's so specific. And I only tried this a few times, and I was blown away by what can be done through text messages or blog posts or whatever you want. That's just one little app I'm talking about. They have some big, like, I'm sure government agencies are using AI behind the scenes to do some crazy stuff that we don't even know about. Like, we always get this stuff afterwards. And I mean, that's not even where I want to get to with this conversation, but it's just mind-blowing to me what is happening right now. Like, we think, oh, that's going to be here in the future. Like, if people don't know, Tesla has brought out a robot just like iRobot. They brought out a robot that will be able to do simple tasks, and they're slowly turning that into more human-like. And like, I feel like we should know about these things. Like, we should be very conscious. Of course, we have self-driving cars. We have those vehicles that will pick you up without a driver. They'll pick you up from like a shuttle. They'll pick you up from an airport, or drop you off. Like that is stuff is happening right now. Most people think, oh, just kind of Tesla. And by the way, I'm a Tesla fan, so when I bring them up, I have no problem with them, which I'll talk about more in the future. I think it's easy to pick on them because they're the leader in, well, EVs, electric vehicles, and they've changed the industry and continue to lead the market, and people don't like the guys at the top, which is perfectly okay, but I'll get into that here shortly. But that it's here, like it's now. We think like, oh yeah, that's going to happen in the future. Maybe our kids or grandkids are going to be dealing with that kind of stuff, but it's already here. And I feel like we should know that, and we should pay attention to exactly what's going on, because there's going to be votes coming out in the near future. There's going to be people purchasing these bots for their home. It's hard for me to even, like, I grew up with the Jetsons, and you had Rosie there doing all this stuff. They actually have these robots that cruise around restaurants, and they drop off food. Like the cook or chef or however it works, he puts the food on the tray, and the tray brings it out. So you can look at servers. Like servers are going to be out of a job. And you know what? Part of me thinks, and I'm not completely against this, I feel like there's going to be some benefits to this AI and everything moving forward, but I just think so many people have their head in the sand, have no idea what's going on. And though there's a giant part of the workforce or people in general of the population that don't want to work. And I think I've been watching some videos, like for the first time, for some reason they targeted men, like there's a huge amount of men, like a huge number of men that are age 20 to 30 and around that, and that are like millions, more than ever, and they just don't want to work. They have no plans of getting a job anytime soon. It's crazy. Like this never happened before in society, and that's kind of like we look at the workforce and we look at. I know a bunch of entrepreneurs and business owners, and every single one of them talk about how difficult it is to find workers. And you could look at farmers, or you could look at labor jobs. Those, I mean, I don't think at this point in time they have any robots chopping wood. Of course, we have machines, which is very similar to a robot, but they have so much of this stuff happening that is mind-blowing, and we should know what's happening in our world. We really do. We should know that soon, when you're reading a blog post, that a human did not write that. It was a human. It was a bot. And then when you could be talking to a bot on the phone, or you're definitely texting someone, and that could be a very well written text message coming from a bot. If you're not directly reaching out to a business, you could be texting our AI. Like it's crazy to me. So here's the thing: is that it's dangerous to me because we got a little guy now, and you know what's funny is I'm kind of dating this show here, because I'm sure in a year or in a few years everyone's going to be using AI, and this show is going to be so outdated. They're like, hey, remember when Drew was talking about AI just coming to market? Because everyone's going to be using it. If you have, I'm thinking about someone, for example, that's not a very good writer, for example. Like I became a good writer from writing. I used to write every single morning for years. I would write on social media. No one would read it. Then a few people would read it. And, and that slowly increased over the years. But that created, or that helped me develop becoming a good writer. And if someone doesn't want to be a writer or doesn't know how, they're not going to need to learn. All they have to do is get one of these programs, type in a few keywords, and a bot is going to spit everything out. Which is crazy to me, because that's how I started. I started out in writing and reaching my audience on a deeper level through words. And I feel like there's so much power in words. But now is authors not going to be writing much anymore? Are those going to be bots? And what else is coming out? Like, is all the commercials and all the ads, are those going to be written by AI? It's so crazy to think, like, in this world of technology, they could very easily take over in the next couple of years, and most people aren't even going to know that all this stuff is coming from bots. It's going to be a bit more difficult to be personalized and a bit more challenging, but technology is moving so fast. I'm sure you could get someone that could, all you have to do is put in a bunch of information, like a bunch of my blog posts, upload them, and they'll probably use my personality to, like an AI. They'll use AI to use my personality and maybe my sense of humor, and they'll spit out exactly what I would have done, but better. And that's not so much the future. That's now. That's happening. It's happening at such a rapid rate. I'm sure this app, I think it's called Captions, if anyone's interested. But this app that I'm using, I don't think it's like, I don't pay much for it. It's like $5 a month. So if you have these super high powered different types of applications that like government agencies are using or huge businesses are using, I'm sure there's much more options that you can use. But here's the thing that worries me is that the future, not just working on those skills like writing, for example, but communication, like talking to people or having personal conversations. I feel like that's going to become less and less, and it's already so little. And now we have a little guy. He's at this point in time, he's only 10 months old, but that seemed to fly by. And how is he going to get by? Like right now, he's attracted to phones and screens. We don't have a TV in the house. We do have phones and computers, but if he sees a phone, he's like a magnet, like instantly needs to see it, needs to have it, needs to grab it. And we try to keep phones away from him at all costs. But the thing is now that everyone has phones, everyone has tablets, I don't even know how to explain. Like, how do you explain to family members that a 10-month-old doesn't need technology? Like, he doesn't need a phone. He doesn't need a tablet in front of his face. You can't even explain that to our parents anymore, grandparents. Like, how do you explain that to them? Like, everyone is so programmed around technology. They're like, what's the problem? Why can't a screen be 2 inches from his face? Or why can't he play with my cell phone? And it's so challenging to live in this world and understand that technology can be detrimental to their health at this age. Of course, we have EMF that we have to worry about. And then we have vision. I really think that vision is going to be an issue from so many people staring at screens now or in the future. And the thing is that it's so difficult to explain that to people what's happening because we're all so brainwashed of having our phones and technologies and being in front of screens. And that's one of my points is that I told you I'm a Tesla fan, and Elon's coming out with this Neuralink, and everyone's like freaking out. I'm sure there's a good community that's like, okay, this is a good thing, but it's actually a chip that goes into your brain and it can fix so many things. Of course, that's a very strong step towards turning humans into robots. But I'm saying that we're already there. Like, how many times do we leave the room, not the house? How many times do we leave a room without our cell phone? Our cell phone is basically glued to our hand at all times. And like, we're glued to technology. We're a part of our phone. And if we're not, we feel like everything's lost. We hardly use our own brains anymore. We don't think. All we do is Google, or we use voice message to talk to Siri. Whatever it is that we're doing, it's not even our own thinking. It's AI, it's technology, it's computers, it's our phone. We sit in front of. I want to do a whole show on this, but for me, when I see people that have chronic pain, I don't believe most of that comes from activity. I don't think that comes from sports. There's very few athletes out there. Very few people are in high intensity, even contact sports. That chronic pain comes from inactivity. It comes from sitting in a sitting position where our spines are being compressed. We hardly walk. We don't move. We don't get up through the day. That chronic pain of stems, is my belief, from inactivity and from sitting and from not using our body. We've all heard if you're not gonna use it, you lose it. Well, that has everything to do with our bodies and how we're sitting and what we're doing throughout the day. That's why we teach lifestyle. Even if you're gonna work out, like we teach working out for 25 minutes. But even if you're working out for 25 minutes, what are you doing the rest of the day? Most people are sitting at work, and when you're done work, you get home and you sit on the couch. You sit at the dinner table, possibly, likely not. You sit on the couch and you watch TV while you flip through your phone for 4 or 5 hours into the evening. Then you fall asleep with the TV on and wonder why you can't sleep at night. On top of that, we wonder why we have chronic pain by not using our body. So for me, there's a lot of people like, oh, this Neuralink is crazy. Imagine putting this chip into your brain. Now, I'm not an expert I'm not an expert in any way, shape, or form. I have read about it, and of course it's interesting. But here's the thing, is that if we're using technology in so many different ways, mostly detrimental, if you ask me, it's like technology is obviously draining. It's hard on our eyes. It's difficult on our emotions, especially when you think that everyone lives in this perfect Instagram world of perfect pictures and perfect lives. Like, that's not healthy to compare yourself to people that are pretending to be happy and healthy. But you have something like Neuralink, for example, and they can put in your brain. They can do all kinds of things. They can get rid of dementia. And of course, this is speculation. This is just what they're talking about could possibly be happening. And I'm saying if we're using technology anyways, if we're glued to it, if we never leave our phone and we're sitting in front of a computer all day long anyways, why wouldn't you use something like a Neuralink to improve your health, to improve your memory? I think they're working on being able to, like, could you imagine having like a built-in lie detector in your brain? And you know what the thing is that everyone's going to be doing, it's the same thing with cell phones. Like, not everyone used to have a cell phone. Now everyone does. I really feel like because of the push for electric cars, which I'm a big fan of electric cars. Those of you that are a fan or regular listener may know that we did buy a Tesla not too long ago. I've been in love with Teslas. Been working towards buying one for like 10 years, maybe 8 years. But at any rate, I'm a big fan of electric cars and the technology and everything they have to offer. But I don't believe they're for everyone, and I don't believe they should be pushed on everyone. I think you should have the choice of your own. And now they're coming out with all these crazy laws of California was the first one that I heard of in 2023, 2025, all the cars sold in California have to be electric. And then Ontario is trying to come out with something like this. I think Alberta, and this is in Canada, Alberta is the first province that I know is pushing back. Like, all that is bonkers to me. And I just listened to this crazy interview with, I think his name was Siddhartha, and he was talking about how he was doing research on the ground in the Congo of where they mine the cobalt, and these incredibly dire circumstances that the Congolese people are in, and everything that they go through. Like, it's, if you ever seen Blood Diamond with Leonardo DiCaprio, it's the exact same thing. And they're doing this with cobalt mining, and the cobalt and lithium and a couple other minerals. That's what they use to make the batteries for electric cars. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, if they keep pushing all of this, all these electric cars, all they're doing is enslaving the people in the Congo, because I think somewhere around 75-80% of the world's cobalt comes from the Congo. So either that, or they're going to have to start doing more things like looking at quality of life, or putting restrictions, or those big companies that are being paid billions for this cobalt, they're going to have to put regulations. They're going to have to start treating the people that are mining better. And I certainly hope that happens. I don't even know, like, is there enough cobalt in the world? I mean, there must be. Otherwise, how would they be pushing this so hard? But at any rate, maybe that's not exactly the direction I want to go with this conversation. But I just think that it's so crazy to think, like, our phones and our laptops, it's the recharge. The cobalt does the recharging. Like I said, I don't know a ton about it. I've just started listening to some interviews, and I'm going to read this guy's book. But like, you have these people that are criticizing electric vehicles, for example, while they're on their phone that has cobalt in it, or while they're on their laptop talking smack about the electric vehicles and how it's detrimental to the environment. It is, without question. I don't know how this whole green movement took over, or is like blinded so many people to think it's that much better than gas combustion engines. But like I said, I'm an electric vehicle fan. I just think it's a giant lie that they're trying to pull the wool over so many people's eyes of this is better for the environment, when so much, like, it's a world thing. It's not just province or country by country. Like, they're ruining the rainforest in the Congo. Those people are breathing that toxic chemicals into their body as they mine the cobalt. And we are here talking about how we're going to change the world and make it a better place while these people are dying. Like, it's absolutely bonkers. And I feel like there's not enough people that are doing the research and learning about it. But at any rate, there's some of you here listening to this show, and hopefully you'll pass it along. Along those same lines, if you do, we haven't done a whole lot of ads on these particular shows, so it would be a huge benefit to us and myself and us at True Form. We've got a team that we're building, and we're doing really well. But for these shows in particular, if you know anyone that could benefit, I'd really appreciate it if you'd share it. Like if every person that listened to share it with one person, say, hey, check out this show, or I think you might find this show interesting, this particular episode, or this show in general, I'd really appreciate it. So, we appreciate your consideration in sharing this show with any of your friends or family that might benefit or might be interested. But getting back to the whole Neuralink thing, like if there's a way to use technology for the good, I feel like that's a good thing. Like we should do that. And don't get me wrong, I would not going to be the first in line to get anything embedded in my brain. In fact, I have no plans. But I'm just saying, like, we have such a closed mind. Like we have I hate Tesla, I hate Elon, I don't know what he's doing. Like we don't even know the behind the scenes, and maybe I don't even know. Like I'm not 100% set on what's good and what's bad, what's right and what's wrong. I feel like there's a gray area there where some people do good things and some people do shady things, and some good people do shady things for financial gain, like whatever it is. But we have such a black and white vision of Republican and Democratic or liberal and conservative. Like there is space, there is an area for everyone to get along. And I feel like, can't we all just get along? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's so black and white. There could be benefits, just like this whole technology thing. Like I'm against technology. I think we use technology too much. I think it's abused. I feel like it does more damage than good. But what I'm saying here at the same time is that if there's a possibility to use it for good, then maybe that's an option. And here's the thing is, if it's beneficial and everyone starts doing it, then everyone's going to do it. Once it hits mass market, it's too late. Like we've seen that with the vaccines in the last couple of years, is that I think this is a bit of a lie though. It seems like that there was a small majority of people that didn't get vaccinated. And then you have the rest of the world that listened to the propaganda on the news and the politicians and the pretend, like you got Bill Gates and Fauci, like pretend like they have nothing to, or Bill Gates obviously has nothing to do with health. And then Fauci is more concerned about his bottom line than actually helping people. And that's been shown throughout the years, not just this last couple term, maybe for a different topic. But what I'm saying here is that we can use technology for good. And I also, like I said before, I do believe that AI can be used as a benefit in the future, especially if you look at, for me, like customer service is huge. That's something that we specialize in. That's super important to me. I always want that to be at our forefront. Quality products that work without question with the cleanest ingredients possible, and customer service. That's what we do. And if anyone comes across us not doing that, please let me know, because we're doing something wrong. But that's what we've built our whole reputation around. That's what we've built our brand around. And I'm thinking, like, it's so difficult to find people that will offer good quality customer service. So I'm saying, okay, maybe I don't have to find a person in the future. Maybe it's going to be AI. Maybe we have a bot, like a good, I'm not talking about like those, I really dislike, you go to a website and it's like chat here. And then you have this like horribly put together bot that can't put together a sentence. I'm talking about like a real person that can have a conversation that is bright and has a sense of humor. Like this new technology and AI has in store. It's like I am blown away, and I don't say that too often. When I pull up that app and I just kind of mess around and look behind the scenes of what it's doing, I'm like, oh my gosh, and this is just the very scratch of the surface. This is the tip of the iceberg. We're just scratching the surface of what's going to be coming in the near future, but it's already so intelligent. And I mean, look, we got to take a step back, and that's one of the hardest parts when we look at the kids and the future generations. We took a 5-hour flight, and there's 2 little kids sitting in front of us. The parents were on their phones or laptops. The kids were on tablets. They were on their tablets from when we took off till when we landed. That is mind-boggling to me. From when we took off to when we landed, that is 5 hours straight of just playing games on their tablets. And I thought to myself, my gosh, don't we have the responsibility of parents to help direct our kids in a different direction? Like, don't we have the responsibility to say, put the tablet down, let's play a game. You can draw. You can use other parts of your brain. We can play cards. We can play games. We can, I don't know, build blocks. There's 100 things that you could do, but to sit and stare at as a little kid. So here's what happened is, at the end of that flight, that little kid, he put his tablet down and I started asking him a question. It was around Christmas time. He had this little elf and I asked him about his elf and he just took off. Like he wouldn't stop talking, like blah, 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 blah. And I thought, this poor little kid is probably screaming for attention. He obviously loves to talk and he had no one to talk to. Like his parents didn't talk to him. He had a little brother or looked like he had another sibling next to him or cousin, whatever it was. They didn't talk. They didn't have any type of conversation. And the parents didn't. I didn't even see the parents talking to one another. The parents were on their own technology. And so when he started talking to me, he just kept talking and the parents were leaving. And they're like, hey, they're like dragging the kid away because he's obviously wanted to have some conversation, like some type of intellectual conversation. And talking about intellectual, like these kids, how are these kids going to have a conversation with adults as they get older? How are they going to have conversations with one another? It's scary to think like what could possibly happen. On the way home, I saw the same thing. This time it wasn't kids. It was a guy. He was sitting, I was on the aisle and he was sitting adjacent to me, like one row up and one row to the right. So I could see clearly what he was doing. And same thing. He was on his phone the whole time. He just went from app to app, from social media to text message. And the whole time, another 5 hours, he didn't put his phone down one time. And I took a little bit of a nap. We played with our little guy. I talked to my wife. And every time I glanced over at this guy, he did not put his phone down for a moment. And I think and I'm not like a huge proponent of Neuralink. I'm not trying to sell it, obviously. I'm just thinking like we have such a closed mindset. Like you have something that could possibly be beneficial, right? And you already have people are like, oh, that's ridiculous. I'd never do anything like that. Like, and I think you have not put your phone down. We're already programmed, right? Like we're already robots. Have you ever been in a room with someone, you're having a conversation with them and they stop what they're doing, they stop the conversation, they get up and they walk to their phone just to check the message. Sometimes they answer it and sometimes they don't, but they have to check. Like we have been programmed like robots and we have a piece of technology that's glued to our phone. And in the near future, there's probably a very good chance we're going to have some kind of chip in our brain that may or may not be beneficial. And that's what I'm saying is the future is here. We are technology is here. Robots are here. AI is here, whether you like it or not. So I feel like there's probably a good idea to take advantage the best you can and find some benefits from it. But I mean, of course, there's the other end of it that you have to get outside. You have to get away from technology. You have to put the phone down. Yeah, and you have to protect yourself. You have to protect yourself from EMF. I did a show with R. Blank in the past. We did a couple of shows, actually. Great guy. And I'm going to go on his podcast coming up here in the near future. But there's so much to our health and our well-being and paying attention to what we're putting in our body and on our body and what we're consuming. I'm so conscious of what I do in the first thing in the morning, because if you go straight to social media the first thing or right before bed or in the middle of the night, your emotions are so affected. Your emotions, your thoughts, everything that you process has everything to do with the things that you see, hear, the words that you speak. Like it's all related. There's so much depression. There's so much anxiety. And we're so glued to technology. It's scary. I feel like if we were to take a step back and got out in nature, do maybe a technology detox once in a while, we'd feel so much better. I know when we go to the mountains, less reception. We did a lot of camping this summer. We're going to do more next summer. And I always feel rejuvenated getting away from everything. And I would encourage you to do the same while we still can. At any rate, I'm gonna leave you with that. Thank you so much for joining me today on Exploring Mind and Body. You can head over to trueformlife.com if you have any questions, concerns, if you're looking to work with us in any way. We're making a big push here with our fitness program. It's doing fantastic. And if you're interested in trying it out, let us know. We'll offer a couple weeks free just to see if that program might fit for you. But that's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.